So today's one I think is going to be quite interesting because apart from giving you some good news coverage and commentary on the news, I think today's article we're going to go through is quite important because I think a lot of people really don't realise that travelling to Europe from next year is really going to change dramatically, and a lot of people are not prepared for the changes that could happen. But again, this was something that we warned about at the referendum. I often said one of the best things the Remain campaign could have done would be a photo of one long line and one just a door with someone just going through, and just a sign above them basically saying, you know, members of the EU, non-members this way, and that would essentially be passport control, and identify that, because people don't realise you're adding about 2 hours potentially onto your wait time, maybe even longer. You know, gone were the days where you could, and this is what's going to be funny, because you saw people complaining about this in the Daily Mail. So be full on prepared for the Daily Mail complaining about consequences it campaigned for. And trust me, they are going to come quick and fast. But we will get to them. I'm sure next year we will have plenty of those to cover. So, please do remember to hit that like and share button. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page, as well as Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And thank you very much to the people that do support me that way. So, on with the article. So, how travel to the European Union will change next year. Technically, the UK, has left the European Union. But from the point of the traveller's point of view, nothing significantly has changed during the transition phase. This comes to an end on 11 p.m. GMT midnight Central European Time on the 31st of December 2020. After that, life for British visitors to the EU becomes very different. The one exception, of course, is for Ireland, where very little changes, notably customs and motor insurance rules. Oh, hang on. Sorry. It's got annoying. There we go. Sorry about that. There's a really annoying ad there that just came up. For most, so very little changes for Ireland, essentially. For everyone else in Europe, these are the most important and critical changes. First of all, passports. Even if you have a Burgundy passport with European Union on the cover, it will be continued to be valid as a UK travel document. The problem is, from the 1st of January 2021, European rules on passport validity become much tougher. On the day of travel to the EU, as well as non-members Andorra, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, San Marino, Switzerland, and the plucky Vatican City, your passport must pass two tests. 1. Was it issued less than 9 years and 6 months ago? And 2. Does it have 6 months validity remaining? The reason: the UK has traditionally given renewals for up to 9 months extra validity in addition to the normal 10 years. So a passport issued on the 30th of June 2011 could show an expiry date of the 30th of March 2022. And while this was fine from the UK as part of the European Union, British travellers must now meet strict rules on passport validity for visitors from third countries. In particular, passports issued by non-member countries are regarded as expired once they have been valid for 10 years. With the expiry date printed in the passport remains valid for the UK and other non-EU countries around the world. With the European Union, the issue date is critical. So a passport issued on the 30th of June 2011 is regarded by the EU as expiring on the 30th of June 2021, Therefore, if the holder attempted to board a plane to the European Union on New Year's Day 2021, it would be considered to have insufficient validity and the airline would be obliged to turn them away, even though the British passport has almost 15 months left to run. And until September 2018, the UK government was unaware of the problem. Once the issue was identified, the practice of giving up to 9 months grace period abruptly ended, but tens of millions of passports valid for longer than 10 years are believed to be in circulation. So, maybe you want to check your passport. Border formalities. So EU fast-track lanes for passport control will no longer be open to British travellers, although countries that receive a large number of visitors from the UK, such as Spain and Portugal, may make special arrangements. The process is likely to be slower and with no guarantee of entry. At present, all a border official can do is to check that the travel document is valid and that it belongs to you. From the 1st of January 2021, the official is required by EU law to conduct deeper checks. They may ask for the purpose of the visit, where you plan to travel, and say how long you intend to remain in the EU, and how you propose to fund your stay, whether you constitute a threat to the public health. So, length of stay. This is another one that people just don't understand. So, from the 1st of January 2021, the EU's long-standing 180 rule takes effect for British travellers as well, as the UK chooses to become a third country. For holidaymakers and businesses travellers who normally stay a long time in Europe, this significantly affects them. You may stay only 90 days, about 3 months in any 180 months, that's 6 months, in the Schengen area, comprising of almost all the EU countries except Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus and Romania. And Ireland is also a non-Schengen, but it is part of the common travel area and freedom of movement to and from the UK and smaller islands. So, example, if you spend January to February and March in the Schengen area, totaling of 90 days, you must leave the zone before the 1st of April and cannot return until the 30th of June. You will then be able to spend the summer in Europe until the 27th of September, where you must leave again, and you may not come back until Boxing Day. Any time spent in the Schengen area up to the end of 2020 does not count, so if you spend December in Spain, the clock does not start ticking until New Year's Day. The UK government says different rules will apply to Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus and Romania. If you visit these countries, visits to other EU countries will not count towards your 90-day total. And British citizens can stay as long as they like in the Republic of Ireland. People who have to work or residential visa for a specific EU country will be treated differently. So, the next one is, can I just nip across the border and reset the clock? No. The 180 rule applies to the entire Schengen zone. If you leave the zone, by example, for returning by returning to the UK or crossing from Slovenia into Croatia, that exit will be recorded on the central database. When you return, the frontier officials will check to see how much of your allowance has been used and how much remains. So, visas. Initially, British travellers will not need to apply in advance for permission to enter the EU, but from 2022, or even possibly later, British visitors will need to register online and pay in advance for an ITIS permit under the European Travel Information and Authorisation System. This is a relatively light touch visa akin to the ESTAs used by the US. So returning to the UK, so it doesn't stop just once you've left, when you're coming back as well. So previously there were no limits on the values of goods you could bring in from the European Union nations. From the start of 2021, the European Union will be treated as the same as the rest of the world, which means that there are now new restrictions. For alcohol, the limits are 4 litres of spirits and 9 litres for sparkling wine, 18 litres of still wine and 16 litres of beer, which hopefully you will see through at least an evening. And arrivals to the UK will also qualify to bring in 200 duty-free cigarettes. Anything that increases the availability of tobacco is a negative step for public health, says the British Medical Association. So if you exceed any of those limits, you will have to pay tax on the whole lot. And there is a limit of €430, which is roughly £400, for all other goods coming for all the goods, from camembert to clothing. Healthcare. This is something else that people again don't realise. For more than 40 years, British travellers have benefited from free or very low-cost medical treatments in the EU and its predecessor organisations, the European Health Insurance Card, and the document that replaced it, the E111, have provided extremely valuable for many elderly travellers and or people with pre-existing conditions. Since the EU referendum, the government has repeatedly said that it hopes to establish a reciprocal health treaty mirroring the European Health Insurance Card. For example, the then Health Minister, Stephen Hammond, said that the department recognises that people with some pre-existing conditions rely on the card to be able to travel. That presence has now been dropped, and the government now says you should always get appropriate travel insurance with healthcare cover before you go abroad. This is particularly important if you get travel insurance with the right cover if you have a pre-existing medical condition. And the Association of British Insurers also warns that claims costs within Europe are currently reduced due to the presence of the card, which covers some or all state-provided medical costs. In the absence of the E111, or similar reciprocal health agreements, insurers will inevitably see the increase in claims costs. This could have a direct impact on the prices charged to consumers. So holidays will get more expensive. And travellers who are abroad at the turn of the year will continue to be covered. If you enter an EU country by the 31st of December 2020, your E111 will remain valid until you leave the country. EU nationals in the UK will be able to apply for the British version of the card, as well as UK students studying in the European Union. But some British pensioners who live in the EU, plus their families. Driving licences, this is another one. Your driving licence carries an EU symbol. As with passports, we lose it as the European powers go as well. But it will still be valid as a UK document from 2021 until its expiry date. The government says you may need extra documents from the 1st of January 2021, and you might need an international driving permit to drive in some countries. That's going to upset a lot of people, that. In fact, you even may need two. A 1949 IPP valid for 1 year is required for Spain, Cyprus and Malta, while the 1968 version, valid for 3 years, is valid elsewhere in the EU. The IDP is an antiquated document and available at a larger post office. Take your driving licence plus a passport photo and £5.50 for each permit that you need. Motor insurance. Under the European Union 2009 Motor Insurance Directive, any vehicle legally insured in one EU country can be driven between other European nations on the same policy. For the 1st of January, you will need a green card. An official multilingual transition of your car insurance that demonstrates you meet the minimum cover requirements for the country you're visiting. Insurances will generally provide them for free of charge, but you require around at least 2 weeks' notice. So, flights. At present, there are no legal agreements for any flights between the UK and the European Union from the start of next year. The Transport Secretary, Grant Sharp, says the government's priority is to ensure that flights can continue to operate safely, securely and punctually between the UK and the EU at the end of the transition period, regardless of the outcome of the negotiations. Air travel is vital for both the UK and the EU in connecting people and facilitating trade and tourism, and we are confident our measures will be in place to allow continued air travel beyond the end of 2020. Some UK airports and disruption caused by tougher new passport rules may occur in the first few days if significant numbers of British travellers are denied from boarding. So this is the other one. Ferries and Eurotunnel are also going to be affected by this. So, ships will continue to sail and trains will continue to run, but the National Audit Office warns that motorists taking their cars to France on ferries from Dover or Eurotunnel from Folkestone face waits of up to 2 hours once the Brexit transition ends, and that could be, including the queues, could be much longer in the summer. Eurostar. Passengers and trains linking London St Pancras with Paris, Brussels, and Amsterdam will continue to run, but because of travel restrictions applied in response to the coronavirus pandemic, services are currently extremely limited. Mobile phones, another one. From the 1st of January 2021, the EU-wide ban on roaming charges for phone calls and internet use no longer applies to people with UK phone numbers. Providers will be free to impose whatever fees they wish. And if you roll back, and you can still see some of the articles of people being charged like £500-600 for a second's phone call. It's unbelievable. But yeah, we're back to that. But all the big providers have told The Independent that they do not intend to bring back roaming charges. O2 says we are committed to providing our customers with great connectivity and value when they travel outside the UK. We currently have no plans to charge our roaming services across Europe, maintaining our roam at home like agreements. 3 says we will give you free EU roaming just the same. EE says our customers enjoy inclusive roaming in Europe and beyond, and they do not have any plans to change this based on the Brexit outcome. So our customers are going on holiday and travelling in the EU will continue to enjoy inclusive roaming. Vodafone says that we have no plans for reintroducing roaming charges after Brexit. Should these or other providers introduce roaming charges, the government says it will cap the minimum for mobile data usage while abroad at £49 per month unless the user positively agrees to pay more. Pets. For many years, British travellers have been able to take a cat, dog or even a ferret abroad with minimal formalities. The government says it is working with the European Commission to ensure that similar agreements for pet travel between Great Britain and the EU from the 1st of 2021. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, there could be new requirements in place for those travelling with a pet from Great Britain to the EU. The hopes is that the UK will become a Part 1 listed country under the pet travel scheme. This could be the least bad option compared to what we have now. But the issue is still not settled. So for now, we have to assume the worst, that the UK will be unlisted. And in that case, your pet must have a blood sample taken at least 30 days after its primary rabies vaccination, and the sample be sent to an EU-approved blood testing laboratory. Then you must wait 3 months from the date of the successful sample was taken before you can actually travel, according to the government. So if you start the process on the 1st of January 2021, you may be able to take your pet abroad from the 1st of May. One thing we do know is that coming home will be no different. There will be no change to our current health preparations for pets entering Great Britain from the EU from the 1st of January, says the government. And that's just the start, but I'm sure there will be lots more potentials to come, and I'm just looking forward. I can see it very clearly now next summer. The Daily Mail, the Express, Telegraph, you name it, running countless stories about British holidaymakers running up against all these new laws. Or, as we saw recently, a pensioner who lived out there in Spain most of his life because he was a UK citizen, but, voted for Brexit, can't stay out there. Well, we told you so. Oh, but yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be travel chaos, and and we will report every single instance when it happens, and I will take a not too gleeful view of it because, I don't think these people deserve to have their noses rubbed in it, but we did say we told you so. We did warn you about these with the consequences, and now that they've happened, you haven't got too much to blame about after all. Apparently, this is what you voted for. And of course, the more and more comes to that glorious that article of this isn't the Brexit we voted for in some way, shape or form. I'm waiting for it, pride of place on my wall here. So, until that happens, please do like and share this video because I do think this is quite important information that needs to get out. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel in a different way, please then head down below to my Patreon page or a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, which I have down below as well, where you can, buy me a coffee. And thank you very much to the people that do support me that way. And as always, we'll see you all next time.